Hello, everyone. Thanks for watching. It's Marie Lubin. Thank you for coming to my platform. As a reminder, if you are a first-time comer to the platform, I want to remind you that this platform is a very educational platform, full of resources, and there's a little bit of something for everyone. Today I'm sitting with two ladies. We are talking about certain topics that sometimes people don't talk about. So we're talking about women, marriage, and divorce. We have realized that according to research, there is 80% of women that initiates a divorce. It wasn't like that before. We're seeing in the US right now, there's about 50% of marriages ends up in a divorce. A lot of the time, culturally, you know, the older generation, they talk about marriage. They want we women to get married, but no one really talk about what happens if it doesn't work out, or what happens when it doesn't work out. So I'm sitting with two beautiful women today that's going to talk a little bit about women, marriage, and divorces. I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves before we dive into the conversation. But before I do that, I want to really put an emphasis on the fact that this conversation, it's not a conversation that is promoting divorce, but it's a conversation where we're hoping that other women can learn from these women's experiences, and know that if you're going through something like that, you are not alone. It is not the first time it's happened. It has happened to other people, and there is hope out there. Okay, so we'll start with the lady to my left over here.
Hello, my name is Bernadette, and I have two children, 29 and 27 years old. My daughter just recently got married, and I have been divorced and remarried, and happily married to my wonderful husband for 8 years.
Very nice.
I'm Valerie Gay. I have two daughters, Tori and Allie, 15 and 12. I also have been divorced and remarried to my wonderful husband. He'll be very excited that I said that. So I'm excited to be here with two fabulous ladies and share my experience, and hoping that my experience can help anyone that needs to have like a little bit of help on their journey.
Awesome. So my first question is, what is the most common reason women tend to delay filing for a divorce? And this conversation is really coming from this recent story that all over the news about Judge Mathis and his wife being married for 39 years, and after 39 years, she decides to file for a divorce. And, you know, as we women, you can think 39 years, that's a whole lot of decades of your life. For you to decide one day that you just want out. So what is it that keep certain, you know, women in a marriage for that long before they actually take the step?
Well, in my experience, I wasn't really like trying to have a divorce because I wasn't happy or something like that. You know, there's a lot of factors that played why I ended up having a divorce. But I know for a fact that a lot of people, or me myself, we want to hold off everything because of the children. At that time, my children were young, and my cultural background is so different. You know, in the Philippines, part of, you know, it's like 95% Catholic. So the way I was brought up, divorce is not even an option. There's, even until now, there isn't any divorce in the Philippines. So I think for me, because of the kids that are involved, you know, and also other factors plays in, like with your life status and stuff like that, celebrities, you know. So, but primarily, from what I hear, is about the children.
Okay.
I have to agree with Bernadette. So I think that the basis of a lot of relationships is the children, especially when there's children involved. In my situation, you know, I had my two girls, but then it was layered, it was complex. It was the embarrassment, the shame, the humiliation, and then also the financial aspect of it. Will I be able to handle a household and child rearing by myself independently? And then those are the things I think women think about, and then they also try to make it work. I feel like as women, we try to nurture, we try to fix it, we try to exhaust all options, we try to communicate for the most part. I'm not saying every single woman, but for the women that I've met and my own experience, I know that I've tried. And then I've also, heard people when they decide to file for divorce, they stay because of the kids. Like I've had women say to me, like, why should my ex-husband be out there and I have full-time parenting duties and he gets to do whatever he would like to do independently. So I think it is a lot of factors, and kids, I think, are the base of it. And then I think it branches off into different components.
It's funny that you said that. I was reading the article where it did mention how most of the women that decide to take the first step is the ones that are in the workforce, where they feel as if they are financially somewhat independent enough on their own that they can kind of take care of their children.
Right.
They're the one that tend to make that initial decision.
Right.
So for you ladies, when did you know that it was time to walk away?
In my experience, there was just a time that I felt like we grew apart.
Okay.
Our situation is very different because it started like we really did not have a long-term relationship, so to speak.
Okay.
Because he is from another state,
Oh, okay.
and I'm in Florida. However, that distance, that longing, make it more interesting for us. So when he decided to move down to Florida, with my culture background, is that we're not really allowed, so to speak, to be living with someone that you're not married to.
Yeah.
Even though at that time I was already in my mid to late 20s, I was brought up like strictly Catholic.
Right.
So because I was so afraid of my parents that they might disown me. So I told, my ex-husband, who's now my late ex-husband, that, we probably need to get married. And at that time, I was, I feel like as a woman, I was ready to have a family. For some reason, back then, now I realize what's marriage now, but back then, I felt like my duty as a woman is to have children.
Yeah.
That
It's
is a
probably
fulfillment.
it's a cultural
Yeah.
thing.
Yes,
too,
correct.
Because
Yeah.
So-
women are literally taught
Yes.
that your sole happiness in a marriage is
Right.
bearing children. There
Yes.
has to be
Right.
fruits.
Yes.
Yes.
In that marriage.
Yeah, so that's, that was my thinking. I'm ready to have children, to raise a family. So we never really had the chance to know each other. We never really went out on like vacation or
Yeah.
a date, like long, because it was long distance.
Yeah.
So that short span of time, we decided to just go ahead and get married and start a family. But I felt like, again, as a mother, when I had my children, I felt like I have an obligation to them. Now, I realized that later on in life that priorities are going to be different. But when I got married, my priority was my children. So I don't know if at some point I neglected my husband then,
Oh.
and that's why we grew apart, or we were so busy with our lives because, in the States, in America, for you to, to live, you got to work hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I was working full time. We have a house, cars, bills to pay. At the same time, I have family back home that
That you have to
I support,
take care of.
So it was a lot of things going on. So I don't know if it's safe for me to say that it's probably we grew apart. It's not like
Yeah.
we hate each other. It's just that the spark wasn't there anymore. And it's sad, but you know, it's just
It's the
way it
reality.
happens, yeah.
It happens.
So when did you know that it was time
Ooh,
to
child.
move away?
How long should we have? So
Give us a short version.
I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version.
Okay, yes.
My ex-husband and I, we were young. So I was in my late teens, early 20s, same as him. So we kind of grew up with each other. And I was actually just telling my daughter the other day, love without responsibility is a beautiful thing. But when you add responsibility, it changes the dynamic of everything. So we had a beautiful wedding. We thought we were, doing it up. We had the big ceremony, the family, everyone. It was a fantastic wedding. But when I knew that it was time was unfortunately, after my daughter was born, things just went south quickly. There was a lot of lying, there was a lot of cheating, there was a lot of abuse, emotional, physical, mental abuse. Abuse that included my oldest daughter that she still remembers to this day.
Wow.
So this left a lot of trauma with us. But the first time I caught him cheating and lying, I said, you know what? We tried to make it work. We tried to do the therapy. There's that layer of component of trying to exhaust all options. But then it got to the point where he was getting too much. He wasn't addressing his own issues. So it became a little bit obsessive in a way where it just became unsafe. Where there were times where he would mirror my phone. He tapped the house that we lived in, my car. He had me followed. Things like that, correct.
Wow.
There's been many times where I had to leave the house with my daughter with no shoes on and run to my neighbor's house. So these are a lot of experience where, and I said, we are all done. So between restraining orders, all of that. Second time we tried to, the first time we tried to make it work after everything, and he did, we did some counseling, some evaluations, some mental health components were there. And then the second time I actually was pregnant with my second daughter, and unfortunately I found that he was still cheating and doing those things, and I said, we're all done. Like, that's it. So it was kind of fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. And I knew my daughters and I deserved better. So I knew that my worth was more, but I had come from a family where my parents have been married since 1968. They're still married. It's been how many years, and saying they have the perfect marriage. They don't, but it's
Nobody does.
Nobody, and but it's a strong,
Yes.
unity. And again, you don't see that as often. But I was very proud of that, and I wanted to achieve those same standards. So I think that's another reason why I also, to your point, Bernadette, culturally wise, you kind of also want to have that. So unfortunately, that's kind of when I said, we're all done here. Like, I don't deserve this. My kids don't deserve seeing me go through that, and they don't deserve it. So,
I like the fact that you say love without
Responsibility.
responsibilities. Because a lot of the time when a relationship might not work out, and I read a lot of things on social media, and they go, how could you not have seen the red flags or
love. You're in love.
But what people don't understand is the person that you may meet today, 5 years, 10 years later, after a baby,
Yes.
how could you have tell this man was not going to be a great father or was not going to be so there's no way of telling that.
Nope,
There's
there's
no
not.
way. There's
No.
no way of telling that. To me, I feel like marriage is kind of like playing the lottery.
It is. It is.
It's playing the lottery. You don't know. This may be an amazing
Correct.
person. You married them, and then I don't know. A couple of years later, you realize, oh my gosh.
And you have to give yourself some grace, because I didn't give myself grace. I kept blaming myself. Like, I should have saw this. I should have done that. I should have done better. I should have, did this. I should have analyzed that. I should have questioned him more. I should have been more attentive to him. Maybe I got so involved with my daughters that I just wasn't even like. You start going down this rabbit hole
Go
of
to the blaming or the guilt
yes.
trip.
Because luckily for me, there was no third person involved. I don't know what happened. It was a busy life, and he's also Filipino, but the culture here in the States has a lot to do with what we have decided on. Because if I'm in the Philippines, if I have the family support, it probably would have not happened. You know, because I'm just here by myself with my kids and my husband and his family. I really don't have anybody. I mean, I have aunt and uncle that are out of state as well, but there's, you know, we were very close family type, knit family, but I don't have that then. And you know, you have all this input from different culture, and you know, and if it was in the Philippines, like I said, I probably would have not divorced because you know, a lot of family members are there. They're probably gonna try to, you know, sift through it and then see what they can do.
So you stay in a
I stayed in
dying marriage, basically.
Yeah, but you know, he was a good father. He was a good father. It's just that I don't know, like that spark was
Just
not
not
there
there.
anymore, and I don't know what happened, and probably partly it's probably my fault because, like I said, when I had that children, they were my priorities. And
But
work,
is there
you know?
a point in marriages you expect the spark not to be there anymore? Because I mean, it's never going to be
right?
that same spark from the very beginning.
I realized that, you know, in a relationship like that, especially for those people who's been married for 50, 60 some years, it's not going to be always, you know, butterflies and roses, you know. In fact, the people that has been longer married for that long are family that were in the military. Because you know why? Because the husbands are always like all the time. So I'm like, you know. So I realized that, but like I said, my devotion then as a mother was my children. They were always my priority, and of course work. So there was really no time for me and my husband then to have our time together.
Yeah,
You know.
I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did walking away do for you?
I felt liberated. Like I felt like I was scared, but I felt like almost like emancipating myself and my kids. And I felt like that's also what kind of made me create my own dance company. Like, because unfortunately it was a very one-sided marriage. So he was into basketball and everything was basketball, NBA basketball, stuff like that. And it was all centered around him, and he never saw me in my artistry. So it was like, now I could reclaim my time, and reroute my life back. So that's what that did for me.
For me, I work hard. You know, like I said, they were my priority. Kids were my priorities. I felt like some type of freedom, but not to the extent that, oh, I can go out and party. Because at that time, you know, the kids were smaller, so my focus was with them. So I have to work harder, you know, make sure that all the bills are paid, you know, and everything. So
It's funny that you guys say that, because statistic shows that women walking away from their divorce, based on what women report, is that they feel that liberation. They can now do things for themselves. They can now focus on either picking up a hobby or doing something that they enjoy. Because if you think about it, there are certain marriages culturally where the woman, when it comes to gender roles, not only do they have to work full time, but they're also, when they come home, they have to do the gender roles full time, nurturing the kids, taking care of kids, pick up, drop off. You have no time for yourself. So there are certain women where they feel as if it's liberating because, oh, you're going to daddy for this week, okay? So that means I can do something for myself for, you know, the week that you're gone. But it's really sad that it has to take a separation for things to be balanced. Because as men and as human beings, self-care is important. Mentally, you have to be sane in order for you to be able to give to your family and your children.
Right.
So it's really sad that it's a one-way it's a one-way street. So with being divorced, you guys went through a healing process. What what did the healing process look like for you?
Well, fortunately, and it was so weird that when we got divorced, we actually got closer.
I've heard that
I
before.
hear this so
I've
many
heard
times.
it, yes.
They're like, oh, we're actually good friends.
I'm still
now.
waiting, but yes, I'm still waiting for that.
You would not believe this. So it was a very amicable decision.
Okay.
Good.
So there was a little, bickering and battling who's getting what or whatever. But I was very giving to him because I know that my kids were going to be staying with him. So I don't want him to get an apartment at a ghetto place. I don't
Yeah.
want him
Right.
to rent a cheap place.
Right.
Because I want my kids to be safe.
Right.
So on the moving day, so he found an apartment. I gave him the bed, the
Oh.
queen size bed. I gave him the biggest TV in the house.
Oh.
I gave him all the plates and extra. I mean, I really helped him pack, and I even did laundry for him.
Oh.
So it was.
But you're naturally such a good person with a good
wonderful
heart.
lady.
So
Classy, I'm telling you. So classy, Miss Bernadette. I love
So, everything was already set for him. I gave him the food, and he doesn't have to buy anything.
anything.
Mm.
That's
And the
nice.
couch and everything.
And you did it with your kids
Right.
in mind.
Right,
Correct.
Right. So, because I want them to see, because I did not have the guts to tell them that we're divorcing.
Mm.
Yeah.
We actually talked about them that, daddy might have to go away for a little bit, because I don't know how to explain it to them.
Sure.
But I
Yeah.
know that in the States, the kids are exposed to it, you
Yeah.
know. And what I just keep on thinking about them is that they're resilient, they're young, they're gonna be able to cope. But still, it's still very hard, for them.
Yeah.
I want to say that maybe that still left them a little scar in their heart, and because it's a sad, it's a sad,
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
it's a sad thing. But yeah, like we became friends, and we don't fight. We like when eventually he had another relationship. I mean, the girl came down to my house, and we're all like
Oh, nice. A happy
having-
family.
Yeah, and they're going on vacation, and I know where they are.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did the
I aspire to be that, and I say this because I really did want my ex-husband and I to work things out, but there's not enough self-awareness on his side. So unfortunately, we're still in that place. It's gotten better in some aspect of it, but in the beginning it was very rough. When I would drop the girls off for him, I would buy food. I would make sure they had enough clothes, whatever just for the sake of the girls. And I also wanted my daughters to know you can overcome this. Everything that is going on, you can overcome this. You don't have to hold this hate in your heart. So I try not to do that. But sometimes people that are still not addressing their own issues, it spills over, and it does seem to blur things still between us, and it's unfortunate because I've moved on clearly. He has moved on. Even when we were together, he's moved on. So I don't know why we're still stuck in the sunken place. But again, it's like I try. We can't even have conversations on the phone because it goes from 0 to 1,000 very quickly because we have to add some underlying petty, and then I'll hold myself accountable too. I fall for it, and I just go right in, and I'm like, and then it just gets ruined. And at the end of the day, it's our kids. And I don't speak ill of my ex-husband, but they're also at the age where they also see it because those same qualities and characteristics are now interfering with his fathering ability. So there's a lot of cleanup I feel like I'm doing. I feel like I'm his almost marketing team at times where I'm just like, well, your dad may not have the tools to provide you that emotional support, so that's why he made that decision. There's a lot of that language in the house, which I think is unfair. And he's not active as he could be because of whatever the reason is. So I'm still trying. I still have hope. My daughter's birthday party is coming up, and I said, do you want to invite him? He can certainly come. I have no problem. And she again is like, I don't know, Mom. I don't know. But again, I can't hold myself and blame because I still do that. You know, I blame myself because I wish I could have done more, and I felt like we tried. Hey, we'll do this for the kids, for the kids, for the kids, for the kids, and unfortunately, that focus has shifted. So,
I think sometimes it's in you as a woman
yes,
to kind of take
Yes.
on blame
Yes.
for things,
Yes.
things
Yes.
that you have no control
Correct.
of, but you just take on the blame.
Yes.
So now, how did your healing, your personal healing process, how did you think that affect the children?
I'm a very
If it
go
did.
first.
oh goodness.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I was in a very dark place. I was very sad, and I just felt like I was wearing a mask, and I felt like I enclosed myself in an emotional ice castle, where I didn't let anyone in, and I didn't let anyone see how I was feeling or the true version of me. I just kind of locked into my role as a mom. I tried to stay busy. I tried to train and get back into everything to keep me busy, to keep my mind focused. So if I could redo it again, I think my healing process, I would have done a little bit more counseling, a little bit more self-love, a little bit more self-appreciation instead of kind of avoiding and trying to mask and not validate my own feelings.
And for me, it's about the same.
Yeah.
I tried to cover everything. In fact, I did not tell anybody that I was getting divorced then. My reasoning behind that is that part of it is because of the shame and embarrassment. And also, I wanted to decide it on my own. I don't want to be swayed. Because, we have a circle of friends.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you involve other people, they have their own opinion.
Yes.
And they'll take sides. And I don't want that. So no one knew that we were getting a divorce then. But like you said, I tried to just keep a mask on, tried to get busy, and really had a hard time telling my parents about it.
Yeah.
So
Would you say that it was important to incorporate the children in the healing process, or were they left out completely?
I think my girls saved my life because they're the ones that kept me going. Because I kept thinking, how are they going to see me? How am I role modeling for them? How am I, teaching them how to, handle challenges and how to handle misfortune and when you have to reroute yourself. I don't want to teach them to pity and to wallow. Like, you can wallow for 5 minutes, but then after that, you remind yourself, affirm yourself, and you keep going. I feel like I owe it to the women that came before me in my family. I feel like it's to our ancestors. Like, this is why we're all here, because of strong women. Not that men aren't strong, but the strong women are the ones that have carried us. And I feel like I would not be honoring them either if I taught the next generation to not be like that.
I wish I was more vulnerable then, but I have to put this mask on that I'm strong, that I will survive, that I'll be okay. So the kids never really see me like, like being like sad or having that pity on myself. I always like on the go, always okay, let's do this and let's do that. And I wish I was able to express myself a little bit more, because I wanted to protect them.
Yeah.
I don't want them to see that I'm hurting, because I don't want them to feel that daddy's doing something bad to me. So I always wanted to be like strong, and that's how I was raised. Because my background, again, it's how I raised, because my family is I have 3 brothers that are all mentally handicapped, and I'm the eldest, and they're getting bullied, and I'm always there to stand up for them. So growing up, I'm always like stepping up to the plate, like, okay, I'll make that decision, I'll do this, and that kind of stuff.
Right.
But it can get exhausting.
I hear you. So now, when it comes to the children, is there a right way to talk to them about the end of the marriage? Talking to them about, letting them know that daddy no longer live in the house. So is there a right way to do it?
I don't know what the right way to say to my kids. Like I said, I try to protect them. I try to also not tarnish the figure of their dad.
Right.
I don't say anything bad about him. And so I just kind of leave it like that, because I know that I'm sure they know what's going on, but sadly I choose not to discuss it. And I probably would have done it differently then. I don't know what would their reaction would be, because they're very close to me and they're very close to their dad.
It's interesting. My daughter said to me, maybe I'd say a few months ago, my youngest daughter, and she'd said she'd went to her parents, a friend's house, and their parents were together, and she said, "Mom, no, it never dawned on me though. She's like, when I see people that have two parents, their mom and dad, that both live in the same house, it's so weird to me." And I was like, "It is?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I was like, because when she was born, we were definitely not together. So all she knows is dad lives in one area and mom lives in another. So, and it just kind of humbled me a little bit, because I was like, wow. But for my kids, it was slow pieces as they got older, little tiny pieces as they got older. And if they asked questions, and I would answer them to the best ability for the appropriate age that they were asking.
Right.
As they've gotten older, again, they've starting to see things and some traits and characters. So they asked me questions, and then I just explained.
And kids are very smart.
Oh my gosh! Yes.
You can't really.
And
lie
you're not
to
ready
them.
for those questions, and I'm just like, what? And they're just like, but mom, and they're so smart now. They pick up on everything. They know, and they're just like, well, that doesn't make sense, and they're putting it all together, and they're little sponges. So when they do hit you with these questions, you really do have to take a minute, and you can't deny them.
Right.
An explanation. You can't say oh no, don't worry about it. You should try at least and say maybe when you get a little older, but
we can talk more about
that. Exactly. But really try to answer what they're asking.
Okay. So do you believe that there are health consequences as a result of a toxic marriage?
Definitely. But just I'm thankful that I'm in America. But coming here, I acquired all these illnesses in my body. Not just the marriage part,
Yes.
I mean, coming from a third world country and working here by yourself with no family support, it's really a culture shock for me. So it was difficult, very, very difficult. I remember my first week here, I was just sobbing. I mean, the company that I work for will allow us to call our family back in the Philippines, and it's 12 hours difference. So I remember I can't even say a word to my dad other than I was just crying on the phone, because it was totally different,
Yeah.
Our family is different. It's very tight-knit. We were under the Spaniards for such a long time. So really, it's a really close family. I mean, you can throw a rock and there's a family member. So it was very difficult. Like I said, I have a family that I support in the Philippines at the same time, managing, the household. So it was kind of toxic.
Yeah.
After I'm having the two kids, I have a gestational diabetes and stayed with me from then on. So, and more ICD codes and diagnosis added.
That we're not going to mention.
That we're not going to mention, because sometimes I feel like when I'm evaluating a patient, oh my God, that is me. I'm like, holy cow. So, yeah, but I'm trying to take care of myself now, because, for them, because, I wanted to see them grow. And plus, I'm still attending and caring for my mom, who's now 86.
God
And,
bless.
also health is and mental,
Yes.
cognitively, she's also deteriorating. So it's a lot. I don't know how I do it sometimes, but like they said, God will not give you something that you can handle. But man, ever since I was growing until now.
You can stop now. Thank you.
But I'm blessed. I'm thankful that I'm here, that I'm able to provide good life for them, and so.
Okay.
I forgot the question.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Consequences.
Oh, that's right. I was so into Miss Bernadette's story. That's why I was like captivated. And I'm like, wait, what was the question? It definitely does. I think for me, it was just, I didn't take care of myself the way I put myself last. I wasn't really eating, I don't think. I think it was just, I didn't have any specific diagnoses, but it was just, I know that I didn't feel, my triad was off. Because I always feel like it's like a triangle, so or a triad, it's like your mental, emotional, and physical health. If one of those is out of place, the whole triad's off. So you've got to really make sure that it stays all in sync.
And if I may add something,
Yes.
because this is really big for me. Like I have a special place in my heart about the mental health. Because back then, on the 90s, mental health's really not that accepted.
Right.
So you don't want to be going to the doctor and tell them that you're depressed. Because it will stay on your diagnosis, and guess what? You're gonna have a hard time getting insurances and stuff like that. So I just kind of kept it to myself. I never really reached out to discuss how I feel.
Right.
Because again, culturally, it's not like that in the Philippines. You just keep it to yourself,
Right.
suck it up,
Or pray, right?
That's it.
And pray
Yeah.
about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
pray.
Go ahead.
That's
sorry.
big. That's big. I think we talked about this. The fear of leaving was, society,
Yes.
the kids, and things like that. That's important. How was it having to face society when it first happened?
Well, I definitely lost a few friends because, like I said, people will take side.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
wrong. You should have not done that and stuff like that. That's why I did not want to involve any of my friends or our circle of friends in my decision making because I know that they have a different view, but no one really knows other than myself and what's going on in our lives. But I lost a few friends.
Okay.
I don't think I had the tools back then to properly handle what I was experiencing. And I didn't know how, because I've never experienced anything like that. So in hindsight, I wish I didn't include as many people, but I'm someone that needs to get things out. I can't really hold in. So like, if you're my friend, I'm going to tell you. So I do think I burdened a lot of my friends with this heavy topic, and they were just like, okay, Roar, you can go over there. Like I have my own life, right? And I'm sure it, I was presenting very selfishly, and I probably was, but I didn't have those tools. But I was very embarrassed. I was very humiliated. I felt like a failure, especially when women were calling me and still asking if we were together, because they saw us on TV, and it's like, and he said that he was single, and they're like, we saw you on TV with a baby, and we saw and you're just like, and you're constantly explaining this, and it's embarrassing. It hurts a woman's, and these women, again, I'm not saying anything bad about them. They were in a different position, and I'm sure that lies were told and untruths were happening, but for someone to call you, and it wasn't just one person, it was many. So, and then they know the names of your children, or they know it just nicks at you each and every time. So you're just humiliated because you're just like, you don't want people to think that you can't handle your household, or you can't manage your man, or you can't, clearly you couldn't make him happy. Like this is all untrue, but this is what you're thinking. So I remember feeling very humiliated.
Now, how did the experience influence your choice of a second mate or a second husband? Because there are tons of women, they said, listen, I did it once and that's it, I'm never doing it again.
That's how I was. I said, I'm never marrying anybody else, never.
And especially in this time that we live in today, where you have men and women on both sides of the spectrum are saying, what's in it for me? What's the benefit? Why should I get married?
Right.
So how did the experience influence your choice of a second mate or second husband?
I wasn't really looking for going to another relationship or getting remarried. Like I said, back then, I'm kind of like on the late baby boomer stage, and so my idea of finding a partner is through someone, you know, like I'm gonna introduce you to this person
Right.
because I know this. But then, back then, Match.com is starting to boom, and you know, everything online. And I don't know nothing online. I was raised with like the DOS computer, you know, with the floppy disk and everything. So I wasn't really very savvy with technology. But it started that way. They told me that, okay, we'll help you. Actually, my daughter, oh, Mom, I'm going to help you make your profile. And at first, I was very hesitant about that. And then, I don't know, for some reason, you know how it works, like you swipe right, swipe left. If you're, you know,
Yes.
you remember that?
I
Like,
do.
when
Yes,
you're-
Miss Bernadette.
And then
She said
they'll have
left.
like a
Left.
heart or something. And then the other person will see, oh, she
Oh,
liked
yeah,
you
she
or
liked you.
whatnot.
Yeah.
So that's how I met Scott then. Plus a friend of mine who was successful, and they're still married. They told me about this website. It's called Our Time.
Oh,
And
this
it's
is definitely an oldie, huh?
yes,
Our time.
it caters for like an older
Yes,
population,
yes.
like 40 and up. You
Uh-huh.
know. I'm sure there's still scammers there, but that's how it started, and that's how I met Scott, who's now my husband.
Oh, yay, Scott.
And how long have you been married?
So 8 years.
Nice,
Yes.
very nice.
So, yep.
I think, and since we're all girlfriends now, I will be honest, I was so avoidant to anything marriage. I told my current husband when we first met, I am never getting married. And it's funny because when we did get married, I actually had a girlfriend that said to me, I thought you were never getting married. Everyone wanted to remind me, yes, I know. And I can change my mind because I'm a woman. So, but I did not want to get married. I also was coming from a hurt place, and I felt like men should be playthings, honestly. I feel like men should just be for whatever you wanted to use them for, and then off they go. Like I did not want to commit myself because I was so afraid of that heartache and that heartbreak. Not proud of it, but again, not knowing how to navigate certain situations, this is just my truth. And I was just very isolated. I just did not want anyone to penetrate, because even my current husband, Gerard, will be like, I'm still picking away at the ice block. Like there's still like a little bit I gotta chisel, you know. But you just put this guard up around you, because I loved my ex-husband. I loved him with my whole self. You know, even despite everything, there was a lot of love there. So and he was my world, and it was just like I envisioned so much for us and inspired for us. So when it all came crashing down, it's devastating, you know, and you just don't know how to pick up all those pieces, and you're so afraid someone's going to do that. So but yeah, so that's kind of, so I just was like no, and I would date, maybe go no, but I kept that wall up. I was like, no thank you, just goodbye.
So how long have you been married?
We've been together for a very long time. We actually just had a marriage renewal ceremony this past June, just to kind of celebrate our love for each other.
Nice.
He was in the military, so he was, to your point, out and about. So that also helped with that independence. So but even with him, it's, you know, we've been together for, oh God, it'll be actually 10 years in January. And when he still texts me and calls me, I still get excited.
Aww.
Like my heart still like jumps, just like when we went on our first date.
Aww.
Yeah, like so, and I'm like, I've never had that before, so that's interesting. And he thinks I'm lying. I'm not. But like, I still, when I see his little text message, I'm like, oh, he's totally like, you know, since we're all girlfriends now, like I said, the truth is coming out. But I get very excited, you know, with him. And I also feel like when it comes to love or a relationship, there's always like that baseline. Like you're never going to be like Miss Bernadette said, always happy and roses and stuff. You're not. I think you should, like, it's here. Like, and then sometimes you have low days, and then sometimes you have high days.
Right.
But as long as you come back to your baseline,
Yeah.
I think you're good. That should be the goal. Just the baseline. Let's just make it there. Because it's hard.
It is.
Big factor is respect.
Yes.
Respect for each other.
Correct.
So now that we've had this discussion, for the young women that are watching, what are some of the what are some advice that you'd like to give to young women that are looking forward to, marriage? And also, what about certain people that are going through some stuff and just feel like they're stuck and they want to take a step, but they're so afraid for whatever reason that it is? What is your message to young people, and what is your message to women who are just afraid?
Well, for the young people, like, the generation has already, so far advanced. I just feel like it's not all about love at the moment, with this people that are the young women, because they have good careers, and I feel like they know what they want.
They do.
And I want to say they are being picky. I mean, there's some other also young women that kind of
Extremely,
like on the other side of the pendulum, where
extremely
they're like
unrealistic,
needy, and they think everything is love, and know. So I mean, for me, again, just follow your heart. I mean, I, like with my daughter, I mean, you raise them, to mold them, and then pick a nice career that they can stand on, because I don't want them to be depending on anybody, especially a man.
Right.
Right. I want them to be strong and can live on their own. I want her to find the right person for her. So she did that, and I just wish them well. And it's a process, once you're married, it doesn't stop there.
Right.
Especially when you start having kids and stuff, it's different layers of responsibilities that you have to take care of. So
Absolutely.
but I feel like this younger generation, they are smarter.
Yeah.
They're not like
People are more open and more talkative about certain topics than before.
Right.
And a lot of women are more open-minded and more self-aware and know truly what they want. And a lot of them are not willing to just settle.
And for those who are, suffering from traumatic relationship, don't stay. If you don't feel safe, get out. It's not the end of the world. There's other people that are having the same experience, and I'm just glad that mental health is like out there now. That it's not like a taboo, or you're not branded. That you're mental or something going on with you, that you're crazy or
There is
something
line
like
of
that.
support.
Yeah, there is, and especially in the United States, it's very open and you can reach out.
My advice to the younger generation, I agree with you, Ms. Bernadette. They are very savvy, and my daughter included. Because I was even saying to her, she's going to be 16, she has a little boyfriend. And I said, I think you should start telling you no, because you just steamroll right over him. So she's very in tune to what she wants. She's very self-aware. I think this generation is self-aware. But I think one thing that is communication. You have to communicate. It's something that I wish I would have done more. I think I'm still working on that. Communicate. Tell your partner what you need, what you want, what your goals are. Like if it's sex, talk about sex. If it's if it's about him or her, doesn't matter, whoever you're in your relationship with, but you need to communicate. It needs to be back and forth like a tennis match. It needs to, you cannot hold that in, because someone's not going to know what you want if you're not saying it, and you can't be afraid of that. So be in your truth, stand in your honesty, validate your feelings and emotions, but also be an active listener. Listen to, and take that self-reflection, and don't try to block it because it's not what you want to hear. Because I know this generation's a little bit like, if it's not what I want to hear, I'm going to block it out. But you have to take that a little bit. You have to kind of come down. And again, if you're in a relationship that does not bring any value and makes you feel not yourself, then it's time to re-examine. And maybe exiting is the option. But I think they really just have to be in tune with themselves and know what they want.
I agree. My goodness.
We can talk
This
Forever.
Next
this-
time with cocktails.
Yes, I will
Definitely.
I'll take care of that next time. But I want to truly, truly thank you, ladies, for having such a candid and authentic conversation with me, especially coming from, Bernadette, and knowing, how I'm old school too. So knowing how old school that you are, being able to get on the spotlight and really talk about your experience and really allow people to understand your perspective and see things. I truly, truly appreciate that.
Because
And
I never really talked about it.
yeah,
Ever.
it's like
Thank
the
you for
very
sharing.
first
I
time.
love it. I'm here for all of it. Oh.
So I think it's important to have open conversations about different topics so that younger generation can really understand what is entails in certain situations and what they have to look forward to, and knowing that it's okay if things don't work out. It's not the end of the world. So I want to thank everyone for watching. It would not be fair to have just a one-sided conversation, so I am looking for divorced men. They tend not to be as expressive as women are, but I think it's very important to hear
I agree.
the other side of the conversation. So if you are bold, courageous, you are a divorced man and you would like to be part of the conversation, you can reach out to me on Facebook, Marie Lubin, and I'll put all my other handles on the video, and you can also reach out to me. There's going to be tons of different topics that we're going to be discussed. It's not just going to be divorce. There will be every single topic under the sun. So join in on the conversation and follow this page. Thank you again, everyone, for watching, and thank you, ladies.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Bye.